morning. Welcome tonight to the team call. My name is Rachel Pedrotti and I'm super excited to be hosting this call. We have got a very, very special guest on tonight. The lady who's going to be sharing all of her wisdom and her gold is a dear friend of ours. She has woken up so early. I think it's 5 a.m. over in America. And she has woken up to do one of the topics that is really close to her heart. She's going to be sharing about dreaming bigger, really helping you get clear on your vision, and not just for isogenics. It's actually really focused on your life, which is why there's some of you on this call who aren't actually even in our team, and I extended it out to you. And also, so dreams, visions, and goals. Now, Janice, we've known her for about 3 years, and she's made such a massive impact on my life, held my hands through disasters and been there and cheered me on and when things have gone great. And one of the things she's really helped me to get clear on is my purpose, and help me really get focused and have clarity. And, that's why I'm so passionate, and that's why I'm so excited, because I know that I know where I'm going. I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I know why I'm going there. And so when I meet people and I share that with them, they have confidence. So I have asked her to wake up super early to get on the call and share with you guys. And she was on the call before anyone else, so I know she's excited. Janice, are you there, my gorgeous?
I am here, and
Yay.
I am fired up. This is one of my absolute favorite topics. I actually do vision casting sessions with people from all over the world and then watch their lives radically transform. And so how many of you really know or understand what does it mean to have a vision? I want to start there, and if you want to put little messages over in the chat, that would be great, of what you think a vision is. Because one of the things that is important is that we have the same idea using the word vision. What I found is a lot of people think vision means one thing when really it can mean something very different. And I love the fact that this is called vision, dreams, and goals, because they all go hand in hand, but they show up a little differently. So does anyone want to write over in the chat what you think vision means? Because where you want to move my life to and what it looks like going forward. Yeah, okay. Do you want to expand on that a little bit? I love that description. And does anyone else have anything they want to add to that? What do you think the difference is between a dream and a vision? Let's go there for just a second. What do you think the difference is? Or is there a difference? Where you want to be in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years' time? A picture, a goal of who you want to be and where you want to go. And the dreams are the desires of my heart. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Direction and purpose, the purpose of your life. Did you know that each one of us, inside us, has almost like in our DNA, there's an imprint of something that we're to create and to leave on this planet. And a lot of times, people are saying they are searching and searching and searching, and they can't figure out their purpose, and they're looking everywhere for their purpose. The interesting thing is the purpose is within us. It's not outside of us. It's not by going and searching everywhere else or following what other people are doing, because everybody's purpose is different. A vision, you're going to get. A dream might not be possible. Okay, yeah. So I want to take everyone back just for a second to when you were really, really little. And for most people, it probably would be around 3 to 5 years old. And I want you to just go there for a second. And I want you to look at that. And I want you to think, what were you dreaming about? No recall. If you don't have a recollection, go to your earliest recollection. Some people, they don't remember before age 10. Some people before age, it's whatever is your earliest memory. of when you could dream and you would dream. You know, the kind of dreaming that when you did it, you might be called out in class for daydreaming. That kind of dreaming, where you just let your mind go. Go back to that moment in time in your life and think about what were the things that came up? What were the things that you were thinking maybe about being or doing? And you know what's funny? Some of you are thinking, I can't do that. That was so long ago. It's in you. It didn't go anywhere. It's still there. I promise you. I do this with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it's interesting because so many people are like, well, I don't remember. And then when they sit for just a second, it's like, oh yeah. So Bex, you thought you wanted to be a teacher. Okay. So think about those things. Maybe it was an astronaut. Maybe you wanted to grow up and be a ballerina. Or maybe a vet, and I love it, an RAF pilot. Mm-hmm. And how old were you, Greg, when you wanted to set up a center for underprivileged kids? 16. Okay, awesome. So one of the things that's really important that I want you guys to think about is that those dreams that are in us when we're little actually are part of the vision that was moving us forward and drew us into the career that we went into or the direction, the vocation that we're in now. So for some people, and Rach, if you could mute, there's somebody unmuted. One of the things you used to say you wanted to volunteer as a nurse in Africa, and then you forgot about it. Yeah. You know, what's interesting is that there is something, I love the fact that if you look at what your dream is and you look at what you're doing, there is a connection. There's always a connection. You know, one of the things for being a nurse, I'm just going to use Rachel as an example. It's incredible because what does she do? She does true healthcare.
Yes, she is.
Oh, I think it's Catherine. Do you mind muting yourself? Oh, awesome. Okay. So, she wanted to be a jockey as well. So what's interesting is what she's doing now actually incorporates both, right? Can you guys see that? Can you see how the nurse part, and she works with people from all over the world. And you know what? It's kind of like she's always in a race, isn't it? She's constantly, right? I love the fact that, you know, we even have derbies, right? Within our things. Not that those really make a difference, but it's funny that that would be what they would call a competition, right? Because everything that's in our life, everything is there for a purpose. Everything is assigned to guide us, one direction or another. And everything that is there, what's interesting is that it's there for a purpose. And we create it. Our words are so powerful. And one of the reasons why, with your visions, dreams, and goals, that it's important to get words attached to it is because those words are what catapults you forward. I love that you wanted to be a princess. And do you still want to be a princess? Do you want to still be treated like a princess? Right? Yeah. So one of the things people will, welcome Cassie and Jordan. I'm glad that you guys jumped on today. This is going to be a little different than the typical call, but we're going to go deep, fast, and we're going to create some incredible tools that are going to help you in guiding forward. How many of you have been on a cruise ship? If you've been on a cruise ship, it's a great, big, huge boat, right? And do you know that if you go on a cruise ship and you go look on the cruise ship, it has an itty bitty little rudder. The rudders are not very big, but that rudder is what guides the ship to go in the direction to get to the location. And I want you to think of your vision as your rudder. Because your vision is going to be what's going to get you to the location that you want to be. And without it, you're going to wander aimlessly. If you didn't have a rudder set in a specific location, it won't go there. If your rudder is off just a little bit, you won't end up at your destination. You won't. So today, that's what we're going to get clear on. What is your vision? And the thing with your vision is, how does that move us forward? I love that you wanted to be an artist. One of the things is, if you wanted to be an artist, are you still creating art? Are you still purposefully bringing art into your life? The reason that I say that is that's probably one of the tools in your life that helps you to generate and create ideas. You're probably extremely creative. And so having a tool like art would make a big difference for you. Okay, so what does it mean if I say that with your vision, it drives you forward? And Carrie, if you don't mind muting, that'd be great. I get easily distracted, and if I hear music, I might start singing and dancing. And that's exactly one of the other reasons why a vision and goals are really important. I know that the goal of this call today is for that every single one of us to hop off of here with a clear direction of where we're going and what we're going to create. Who wants to have that when you're done? So I'm stating that right now. I want that to be really clear, that everyone, when we are complete with this call, you are going to know exactly where you're going. Because if I am distracted again and again and again and go with the wave of the wind every direction, then guess what? I'm not going to get to where I want to go. I'm just not. No matter how hard I try. And the reason why is because I don't have that rudder set. One of the reasons that people write down goals is to keep their clear direction. Goals are part of a vision. Goals can be a vision, but they're usually just part of a vision. The vision is the driving force. The goals are what you want to achieve. And so if I know that in 10 weeks, I'm going to be going somewhere and there's X amount of money that I want to create between now and 10 weeks, my goal is going to be that X amount of money. But my vision is going to be what's going to drive me there. Maybe that vision is I'm going on a cruise and I want $5,000 in 10 weeks. When you break it down and you look at it from that perspective, the vision is what I'm going to stay focused on. I'm going on a cruise. And you know what happens? Our minds are a really funny thing. The reason I asked you to go back to what you wanted to create when you were little is because we have powerful, powerful minds. Our thoughts will catapult us forward. They will, whether we want them to or not. And if we are stuck in old patterns of thinking, if we're stuck in things that don't work, or constantly thinking about what happened in the past, that's like our rudder being stuck, and we literally will keep going around in circles. How many of you keep thinking of things that haven't succeeded and you're like, gosh, I really wish this would happen, and you continually focus on what didn't work? And guess what happens? You stay in this little circle and your ship doesn't get anywhere. It just keeps circling until you change the direction that you're going to go. And you guys, sometimes it's just a little shift. It doesn't have to be a great, big, huge shift. You wanted a normal life. Okay, you know what's great is that that's so vague. That's so vague, right? You want a normal life and you don't even know what that is, right? That's a great description of why you want a goal and why you want a vision. Because if you're not clear on what you want, you're not going to have it. You're not going to have it. If you're clear on what you want, it doesn't matter what you think you need to do to create it, you will create it. You will catapult forward in that direction, whether you want to or not. if you were to say that you wanted to create, so let's use Isogenics as an example. You wanted to create 2 consultants by the end of this week. If you set that as a goal and you added committed action, you would have 2 consultants by the end of this week. If you don't have 2 consultants by the end of this week, it's probably because you didn't have a strong vision. Now, your vision isn't the 2 consultants. That's a goal. That's what you want to create. But what is your vision? Think about, why are you doing what you're doing? I will share, one of the things that's really interesting is that when I had my kids, they went through a really difficult situation and they had an impact from a chemical. That impact from that chemical shifted the direction of where I was going to school them and how I was going to school them. And one of my visions became homeschooling them. They were in 1st and 4th grade at the time. My vision was where they were going to be when we completed the process of homeschooling. What were we going to create? So every one of my decisions came from that vision, whether I was conscious about that decision or not. Does that make sense? So you don't have to be conscious of the decision all the time. If you have a clear vision, you're going there. End of story. So my vision was so clear of where I wanted my kids to be that anytime I didn't want to do something, guess what? I still did it because of my vision. My vision was so that they would be successful. My vision was so that they would contribute to society. My vision was so that they would be who they were called to be. My vision was to unpack them and to open up the treasures within them, whether it was academic or just who they are. And successfully, we've completed homeschooling. I have 2 girls in 2 weeks that are going to be going off to college, to Nashville. And one of them, who this is her 3rd year and is on the dean's list constantly. Did I constantly think throughout the entire process and stay thinking of all the little details or the fact that things didn't work and that's why we were there? No. It was on my vision. If it didn't align with the vision, we didn't do it. If it didn't align with the vision of success, we didn't do it. Now, there were times that I pulled in other teachers. There were times that we used other tools. I didn't constantly homeschool them in the typical way. Why? Because the vision, I came from that place of vision. And I'm going to go back even further. Before I even had kids, we had several miscarriages and it looked like it was impossible for us to have kids. But my vision was to have kids. I didn't stay stuck on what the doctors said. I didn't stay stuck on what was wrong. I didn't look at all of the obstacles. I saw the vision of having kids. So this is really important, guys. For you to move forward, what is it that's going to move you forward? What is your vision? What is it that you want to create? And let's go further forward. At the end of the day, when we no longer have breath in our lungs, what's the legacy you want to leave behind? So one of the exercises that I want you to do, and I know this sounds kind of morbid, but I want you to think about, when you're gone, what is it that you want people to remember you for? What is it that you want to leave behind? Because what you want to leave behind is so deep inside of you that it's part of your vision. It's part of what's going to drive you. And without it, you won't move forward. So I want you guys to think about that, because if you know your vision, if you know where you're going and you know what you want to create, you don't have to know each step along the way. Do you know that what's interesting is they did a study, they've done several studies of people who write out goals. Do you know if you have written goals on paper, I have a little index card, and I often will do this. I will write out a goal that I want to achieve by when, and then I put it on the refrigerator or on my bathroom mirror or somewhere that I'm going to see it, so that I'm constantly thinking, yes, that's my goal. That's where I'm going. And do you know what's interesting? People who write down goals that are very specific, what you want to create specifically, when you have something vague, like, you want a normal life, it's so vague, your mind doesn't know how to get there. But what if a normal life to you meant you wanted to have, a family and a house, and you wanted to have, 2 cars? If you were specific about that normal life, you would create it because you know where you're going. So if you write your goals down, you are more likely to have them come into fruition. What's interesting, they've done studies at Stanford, at every major university, Harvard, and they did several studies back in the 70s, and they found that people who wrote down goals achieved more in life than people who didn't. And the people who wrote down those goals were like a huge percentage more likely to accomplish them. And what's interesting is that they accomplished them by the date they set. If you're writing down a goal, but you don't say by when, then you're leaving it open-ended. That's why I loved when Greg said 1, 3, 5. Yes, those increments are really significant. I do 3-month goals. Why 3-month goals? Because 3-month goals are close and they're attainable. And then I don't just have 3-month goals. Like right now I have a 3-month goal, but I also have a year goal. I also have a 5-year goal. And I'm stuck, and you're project manager. Of course you are. That's why. But those projects wouldn't get done if there weren't those clear timelines. Do you know what's really interesting? And I'm going to shift gears because there's a couple of you who are on here who are thinking, yeah, well, that just seems a little complicated, or, it just seems like a little much. And if that's you probably aren't tied to results, right? Because what happens with some of us is that we get so caught up in our visions and our dreams and where we're going that we don't attach them to the results. I'm there a lot of the time. I'm a visionary. I can come up with a gazillion ideas within 20 seconds. My brain is constantly dreaming of where I want to go and what I want to create. Not just for me, but for anyone I come in contact with. I love to listen to people's stories because I love to be part of the course correction so they get their rudder going in the right direction, and the direction that's working, and that they're achieving and they're making a difference, and you feel alive. Do you know that's what our vision does? Is it brings us life. It gets us so excited about what we're doing, we can't help but want to get there. What's interesting right now is I'm going through a season of shifting and clearing out things that are in the way of where it is that I'm going next. I don't have a clear direction of where I'm going right now. And so I'm getting a clear vision. All of a sudden, I have a whole lot more time. I'm a homeschool mama and both my girls are gone. What am I going to do with that extra time? Right? Don't worry, I have plenty of things that I have in mind. But what lines up with the end of the day? What lines up with my vision, and what lines up with my legacy? My vision is to leave an imprint of love on this planet. That's my driving force. And if things don't align with my vision, I don't do it. People have asked me to do certain things and I'm like, no, it doesn't align with my vision. And you know what, guys? We can go through and do things and think this is great, but it's not getting us closer to our vision. And if you're not getting closer to your vision, don't spend your time doing it. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people use their time, and in using their time, they're not purposeful. And when you're not purposeful, it's just like that rudder taking you around in circles. And then you get frustrated because you're not making a difference, you're not going anywhere, and then you just want to give up, right? That's kind of a pattern in our culture. The other thing that's a pattern in our culture, and something that's very evident here in the States right now, we had 2 mass shootings within 24-hour period of time. I believe that is because this generation that's coming up right now aren't being given a vision. There's no clarity of where they're going or what they want to create. There's no connection in the world to create something different. Because I guarantee you, the same weekend that I heard about the shootings, I had a house full of teenagers that were constantly coming over to practice and prepare for a show in the Heights. And those kids were so focused and so motivated to want to create together and to uplift each other and to take care of each other, because they had a single vision. They had a single goal, which was to create this musical in 2 weeks. They didn't have time to be going around thinking about doing other things. As a matter of fact, they didn't get a lot of sleep. There were some nights they were up until 3 or 4 a.m. and then up the next morning at 7 a.m. because they knew what they wanted to create, and they created it, and it was phenomenal. And you know what's interesting to me is that in that vision, in moving forward as a collective group, that is the power of a team. And you guys have one of the most incredible teams in Isogenics. You guys have one of the most driven teams because of your leaders, because of Greg and Rachel. They have a goal. They know where they're going, and they know what they want to create. And guys, their goal doesn't just stop with them. It's not about what they're creating for them. It's what they're creating for all of you as well. That's one of the reasons why I love Isogenics and why I'm a part of it, is because look at what their vision is. Who on here can tell me their mission statement off the top of your head? And if you know it, type it over. All right, Rach can. Rach, let's see if somebody else can. Who else can? If you can, type it over. And if it's not exact, it's okay. I just want to know how close you can come to typing or writing up. What is the mission statement of Isogenics? I will tell you that mission statement, if you know that, you're gonna do well in Isogenics. You will earn income in Isogenics. If you know that mission statement and you align with that mission statement, there is no way that you can't succeed. But you know what's interesting is that I don't see it over here yet. I know it's a little long. Some of you probably are typing it up right now. If you don't know it, I want you to learn it. I want you to learn it because it has to do with the impact. There we go. Let's see, Sarah. The world's largest, most respectful health and wellness company. Okay, that is only a part of it. That is a small part of it. Okay, Urena, here we go. To free people. To free people. That's where it starts. It's to free people. Free them from what? Physical and financial pain. Do you know that if that is your goal, to free people from physical and financial pain, then guess what? The result is to become the most trusted, respected health and wellness company in the world. It's not just, it's a global perspective, but it starts with freeing people. Who doesn't want to be free, right? Everybody wants to be free financially and physically. And what's interesting is that when you look at that and you see that and you know that goal is going to drive you forward. You're going to become part of the vision, and you're going to become part of the process, so that Isogenics is the #1 company in the world in health and wellness. Their vision alone draws people in. Do you see that? It's so clear. It's so clear. So, what can you do to figure out your vision? It's all great to know how important a vision is and to understand the difference between dreams and visions. And I'm going to go there for a second. That's your family. Yeah. So that's your vision. I love that. Yes. And you know what's interesting is that everything you do will just align under that vision. Do you know that for the education purposes, one of the core values that we had was to know God and make him known? And you know what's interesting is that everything we did just aligned with that, whether we meant to or not, right? Because the one who created the universe points back to the creator. And that was part of our education. And it took us into teaching things that I never even thought were important, like Shakespeare, which became my daughter's favorite subject, right? One of her favorite authors, which actually helped define the path of her doing the arts. And the whole point of them doing the arts, both my girls are going into the arts, is so that they can impact culture. That's their vision. That's what drives them, right? And you know what's interesting? I was listening to a couple of the kids this weekend, and they were talking, and two of them were talking about, I said, when you guys are on Broadway, I want you to invite me to the show. And one of them looked at me and said, I will, without hesitating. He just looked at me and said, I will. He will be on Broadway. I guarantee you he will within the next 5 years. The kid is incredible. And the other one said, do you know the statistics? Do you know only like 1% of the population gets to go on to Broadway? And started giving me all the reasons she's not going to be on Broadway. And we had a conversation about that. And I said, you know what? If you can't believe it, if you can't put yourself there and envision it, if you're not already on that stage, you're right, you're not going to be there. The same is true in isogenics. If you already have not seen yourself as an executive or as a manager, you're not going to get there. So you can start by seeing yourself. I will tell you, I had a lot of cleaning up to do. When I got into network marketing brings everything to the surface, guys. Everything that you're not good at comes right to the front. The way that you work with people becomes really evident. And you know what? Results show it. Results show it. When you're not succeeding, and so many people will come to me and they say, you know what? I just don't think this is for me. Well, it might not be. But I'll tell you what, it can be. And if you're going to commit to being here the same time next year, you're going to have money in your pocket in the process. If you're going to commit and you're going to have the vision and you're going to set the goals, it will happen. I have seen so many people become millionaires in isogenics. So many of my close friends. And they've asked me, Janice, why aren't you going for being a millionaire? I'm going to tell you why. It doesn't align with where I'm going. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get there. I want you to hear me in that. That's not my main focus. My main focus is changing the lives of millions of people so that they live in their purpose and destiny. And one of those ways that happens is with isogenics. If there is somebody who's not sure what they want to do, I share isogenics with them. Why? Because I know that it's going to improve their health. It's going to improve their focus. They're going to get incredible training. And it is an opportunity to earn an incredible amount of wealth. Do you know one of the young men that I connected with that's on my team was a pro baseball player. He had his own business. He didn't want his own business where he was constantly going in. He sold his business. He's now doing isogenics full time. I have 4 people on my team like that. Why? Because it aligned with their destiny, aligned with where they were going, which aligns with what I'm doing. And then guess what? There's money in my account every single week, right? So your vision is going to drive you. For you, it might be becoming a millionaire. For the nonprofit organization that you have, having that income coming in so that you can give income to the underprivileged kids. That's part of one of my goals, is to create $3,000 a month. That's one of my main goals right now, is to create $3,000 a month to support a home in the Philippines for children, especially young girls who are at risk. And I support the missionary who's there because she's also creating a school in that same building. And guess what? It's happening more and more and more. I'm getting closer to that goal. Why? Because that's my vision. That's where I'm going. That's what I want to create. And you know, the beautiful thing is that yours might be something completely different. I love that it's already done. Yeah. 40 kids through it. That is incredible. Congratulations. He had a dream when he was 16. Do you guys hear that? At 16, he had a dream. It became a vision, and now it's a reality. And that's exactly what happens when we solidify our vision. That's why it's so important to know what your vision is. Maybe we have temporary visions throughout our lives. So the first assignment that I gave you is to write, what do you want to leave as a legacy at the end of your life? The next assignment that I want to give to you is, what do you want to create within the next 30 days? Let's go way out there and then let's pull it in, right? If you do a goal for 30, 60, and 90 days that lines up with your long-time legacy, guess what? You're going to move through those 30, 60, and 90 days so quickly. Those, for whatever reason, are key time periods where people have the greatest shifts and where we can shift a habit, where we can let go of a habit. Because habits tend to be the very thing that hold us back from our destiny. How funny is it that a little habit can keep us from achieving our purpose? So if we have, and it really starts before that, it starts before the habit. And if you want to go through the whole process, I had this up on the wall for years for the girls. Your words become your thoughts become your actions, right? Your actions lead to what? I love it. Louisa's over here shaking her head. Do you know the whole progression? You want to state it? It's interesting because people don't think it starts with thoughts, but it does. It starts with what's in your mind. And you have to stop it with your thoughts. And then your thoughts become words. And our words become our habits. And our habits create our results, which create our destiny. So it starts with words. What are you talking about? Are the words that you're talking about, do they line up with where you want to go? I can tell you Mother Teresa's words lined up with what she was creating. I don't think there was probably many times where her words didn't align. Yes, and it creates the results. If you want to create results, so for those of you, I'm going to go back for a second because there are several people on here who, you're just like me, you're visionaries, and you see all these different types of visions. You come up with ideas all day long. You know what? Ideas are great, but if you don't have results, what good is an idea? What good is it? You want to pop in there? You want to say something, Rachel? She's over there giggling. But it's so true, right? And one of the things that I have really been working on, measurement drives behavior. And you know what? For a lot of people, that's true, Greg. But you know what? It's not true for everyone. It's true for people who are like you, because the way that you are wired, you're going to get results because you're going to look for results. You're not only going to look for results, you're going to measure results, and you're going to have clear ways to measure them, right? Like, you know exactly how to measure it. As a project manager, you have to, because if you're not getting results, you know that the the job's not going to get done. The project's not going to get done. So you are excellent. And one of the things that you guys should do is you guys should connect with Greg, because he has to be brilliant at it to do his job. So for those of you who are visionaries, connect with someone like Greg or Greg, because for you that are visionaries, what happens is you keep getting all these visions and you keep going to that place of this is what I want, but you're not getting the results. If you're not getting the results, it's because you don't have a clear measurement to see if you're going in the right direction. I know that, like the example I gave earlier, if I'm going on a cruise in 10 weeks and I want to create $5,000, then how do I break that down? Or how do I measure it? One of the things that's interesting is at week 5, if I have $200, that pretty clearly shows me that my results are not attached to my vision, right? Or not enough attached. What if I'm at day, let's say I'm at week 9 and I have $3,000. There still might be a gap, but I can say, okay, what do I get to do to shift to create the last bit, right? Because I'm attached to the results and I see the results and I know that my results aren't aligning with what I stated I was going to do or what I was going to become. And guys, one of the things that's so powerful, how many of you have written down goals so many times and you've not achieved those goals? And you get so frustrated with yourself. It's like, why write them down? There is no reason to write them down because they're not even going to happen. Guess what? Sometimes when we write down our goals, we don't think about, is it attainable? We write down a goal. You know, I have people who say to me, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in 2 months. That's probably not attainable. It's possible, but it's probably not healthy and attainable. So what you want to do when you're looking at your goals is you want to see, are they attainable? Is it something that I can create? And what is my vision? Because when you have that vision, you're going to see how what you want to create goes right in line with it. And things will start popping again and again and again. Guys, I work with people who have multi-million-dollar companies. And I watch all the time how their brains work. And you know how they think. That amazes me. I love watching how they think. If something isn't serving them and isn't aligning with their goal, then they're like, probably don't need that. Even financially, let's say there's something that they know that's going to serve them or that's going to draw them closer to their goal. They're going to figure out a way to make it happen. And it's going to be because they're focused on their vision. I'm working with someone right now who's getting ready to have a big event. Everything is aligning for that big event. If it doesn't align with the big event, guess what? There's no focus on it right now. What they're creating, and in the process of focusing on the big event, one of their books has been, I think it's been translated into, I forget how many languages, but it's being translated into other languages. Not because they were focused on the book getting translated, they were focused on what they're creating and the movement they're creating, which goes in line with their overall vision, which is what drives their company. Do you guys see that? And so what is your legacy? What is it that you want to leave at the end of the day? What is it that you want to make a mark on this planet about? What is it that you want to create? And I want you to think about that and write it down and tweak it. Because you know what? There's going to be certain things that you're going to think that you want, that you're going to be maybe not so much. I used to want to design clothes and make them for the movies. And you know what's so interesting is when I was a little girl, it was a dream of mine. And I really wanted to do that. And that really fired me up. And then I became an interpreter. Well, I went into a totally different field. Instead of doing clothing, because my parents would pay for my education if I stayed at the college I was at. And so I became a speech pathologist and audiologist and went into psychology. Then became an interpreter for the deaf. And then if you saw all the careers that I had, they all seem so diverse and so different, but they're not. Every single one of them had to do with people finding their voice, owning their purpose, and becoming who they were created to be. And interestingly enough, I still got to go on sets and create costumes for movies. The dreams that were put in you when you were little are put in there for a purpose. So spend time dreaming. Dreaming is one of the things that we can use to create, because our mind doesn't know the difference between what we're dreaming about and what's real. It doesn't know the difference. So if we spend time dreaming and we start to see things, then guess what happens? We start to create, and we shift our reality, and we go in the direction of what we want to create. And you know, Bex, that's beautiful that you want to ignite young people, right? And in igniting them, you're going to create a movement. You're going to create a shift. Look what's already happening with your business by igniting young people. And you want to leave them better than you found them by giving to them. That is a beautiful vision. And look at what's happening in your life with that vision. Guys, every vision is going to be different. And with your visions, don't get all caught up in it being perfect. Because you know what? You can shift it a little bit as you go. You can clarify it. When I started in Isogenics, their vision was a little bit different. Their mission statement was a little bit different. It got clearer and clearer. And when they said their mission statement up on stage, I got chills. Why? Because I knew that's what's going to create the momentum. That's what's going to catapult Isogenics forward. I have been with Isogenics since 2011, since February 22nd, 2011. I love it. It is my part-time hobby. It's not my business. I make between $700 to $1,000 a week, sometimes $2,000, depends. As a hobby, it's a great hobby to get that much money on the side. I probably have focused effort of about 2 hours a week doing Isogenics. I have had other points in times where I've wanted to do it full time, be completely focused on it. And every time that I've done that, my business has gone backwards. And it's been interesting that every time I stay focused on the main goal, which is making the impact and really helping people walk in their destiny and purpose, then people just come to me, and it's great because then I share with them what I have. Right? And then we move forward. One of the things too about Isogenics, I'm going to tell you that this past week, my dad was really weak, and he has some issues that are going on with his health. And I didn't think he was going to make it much longer. And he ordered some shakes and his voice is stronger. He's 87 years old and he has some issues with his intestines and he wasn't getting enough nutrients. And he used to do shakes for quite a while, and then he quit kind of doing the shakes because he thought he could do better without the shakes. How many people have heard that? And how many times have we heard, oh no, I'd rather eat real food, right? And then my dad said, oh my gosh, I can't believe the difference a shake makes. He literally was so wobbly because he couldn't get enough nutrition. And now he's not wobbly. He went to the grocery store and almost fell over. People were running over to hold him up. And now he's out in the yard working again. From 2 days of shakes, everything shifted. So, you know what's incredible is that I look at Isogenics and I see what it is, and I share it along the way. And guess what, guys? If it is if you figure out what your vision is, I look at Deanna Falchek. Her vision has nothing to do with Isogenics. Her vision is completely 100% working with orphans. And guess what? Her vision, she has the whole team Adoptogenics. She's a millionaire. Why? Because everything she does aligns with that vision of really making a difference and impacting the orphans. So she has the whole team of people now. One of her goals is to create 100 orphan loving millionaires within Isogenics. She's already created a couple. Because what happens when somebody is orphan loving and they're a millionaire? What do? What do they do with their money? Right? Where does it go? Yeah. And in the process, they've fed and nurtured orphans. And then they've supported for I don't know how many adoptions. That's why it's important for you to see, what is your goal? What does it align with? Look at Kathy Savage. Hers has more to do with fitness. Go through Angelique Norrie and David. Theirs has to do with passion and purpose. If you go through every single one of the millionaires within Isogenics, every single one of them has a different flavor. But every single one of them knows exactly what their vision is. They set their goals, they have committed action, and they've achieved it. And look, we have one right here on our call right now. Rachel is an incredible example of setting the intention. She set the intention. She has committed action. We see her committed action. One of the reasons why I've aligned to partner with Rachel is because of her committed action. Because she is so fired up about serving you. She wants to see you succeed. She wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, how am I going to become a millionaire? She was thinking, how can I serve with you? And in the process became a millionaire. Yeah, persistent, consistent action every single day. That's what's going to get you there. And you know what? Those actions will come when you have your vision. I promise you. Yeah, and now she's creating millionaires. How many of you would like to be a millionaire? Yeah, right? I know I would. And one of the things is write down the goals of what you're going to do with the money when you get it. Envision it. Because the envisioning is part of the vision. Do you know that just recently, for one of the stretches, I encouraged somebody to go drive a brand new car and to go sit in a car and act as if when they go in to buy the car that they could pay cash for it. Might be a great thing for you to try to do. What would that feel like to go in and be completely convinced within yourself, so much so that you convince the person that works there that you're going to go and buy a Tesla, right? That's the kind of vision that when you have that vision, you will create it. If you can believe it in your mind, if you can feel it, if you can taste it, if you can smell it, you're going to create it. I had no doubt that I was going to have kids. No matter what the odds were, no matter what was coming up against me, because the vision was so clear. I couldn't imagine not having them. When we have our vision, no matter what obstacles come up against us, the vision is going to be what's going to move you forward. And for your personal vision, the way that you're going to find it, if you're not clear on it right now, the way that you're going to find it is by writing down your legacy, what you want to leave behind, what makes the biggest difference to you that you want to create. And you can have short-term visions. One of my visions was to have a home that my parents could come and stay in if they needed to. We have that home, right? That was a short-term vision. One of my long-term visions is to create an incredible amount of wealth so that I can support different people's vision, like Ashley in the Philippines, with supporting those kids that are at risk, to prevent them from being pulled into sex trafficking, to have a safe place for these young girls who have nowhere to go, right? But it all aligns. So now that we're at the top of the hour, I just want to encourage you, as you sit down and you look at your dreams from when you were little, you look at your legacy of what you want to leave, you will find your vision. And as you find your vision, things will start to just move you forward. Then you pull in the committed daily action steps to get there. And you'll find the steps because the steps will just come to you. It's crazy, but when you have a clear goal, the steps will come to you. And if something's not working, then you get to shift until it is working. And that's the importance of staying consistent at looking at the results. If you are constantly coming up with different visions and you're not getting any results, talk to someone like Greg, because Greg can help you to figure out where the gap is, or Rachel and Greg, right? If let's say that at the end of this, you're not quite sure what you want to do, don't go to anybody else at first. What I want you to do is I want you to go to a blank piece of paper and I want you to just start writing. The answer is within you. The answer of what you're created to do and what you're created to create here on this planet is within you. So I'm going to challenge you to look within yourself. Spend time writing. Write out what you want to leave behind. Write out what matters the most to you. Look it over, and the vision will come to the surface very quickly. Very quickly. And then create short-term visions. Maybe it's a cruise. Maybe it's becoming consultants. Maybe it's becoming executive. And you say, I want to create this, and then say, by when? It's important that you have a by when, because if you just say you want to do that, you leave it out there without the next step. If you say you want to do it by a certain date, you'll do it. I wanted to become manager. I became manager within less than a week. Didn't seem possible, but I had committed action and I was clear that's what I wanted to create. I wanted to be executive by a certain date. And you know what? I still haven't hit executive. There have been times that I've gotten close and it's fallen back. But that's also during a time period that I wasn't connected to the results. And now I've learned the importance of being connected to the results. And then there are some of you who are so connected to the results that you can't stay focused on the vision. And the beautiful thing is that if you know your vision and you keep it in front of you and you keep it in the forefront of your mind, everything you do is going to align with that vision. And you're going to be extremely successful. Why? Because the vision is going to be what drives you. Rachel, thank you for having me on today. It is such an honor to be a part, and I can't wait to see what this incredible group is going to create. And I'm looking forward to hearing the results of what you've created.
Janice, thank you so much. Let's give Janice some love. Yeah. Janice, do you have a few minutes if some people can just share some of their takeaways or ask any questions? I think it's really honorable to just share. Who's got a few things that they've got from this call that they'd love to share with Janice and the team? All right, who can I see? Anyone waving? Anyone want to share? All right, I'd love it, Joe. I'll unmute you.
I really loved, Janice, when you shared that if you don't achieve your goals, it's because you didn't have a strong enough vision. Because I think that happens to probably all of us, that we don't achieve the goals, and it's very confusing. And to just know that it's not the goals that we need to change, but just getting really clear on the vision.
Amazing. All right, who else? Anyone? All right, if that's it, I'm going to call it a night, guys. All right, so